Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum. Happy Valentine's Day. It is 12 o'clock, and this is my third Ask Me Anything by the Career Doctor. So there you go. How's everyone? How was the weekend? I hope everything worked out quite well over the weekend. Uh, Me and George, what we did over the weekend was that we went to a pasar malam or a night market. It was quite fun. It's been quite a while since we went to one. I think the most recent one was like a couple of months ago. Not much excitement, I would say, in the truest sense, because it was a working weekend for both of us. I have started taking in scoping conversations on Saturday morning. Unfortunately, got to sacrifice certain things, yeah, because some of the potential clients are working during weekday, and therefore they have requested to meet up with me. Obviously, virtual. The only other time that I could accommodate to all of these requests is either after office hours or on a Saturday morning. So there you go, folks. For those of you who would like to book your 30 minutes gratis or non-obligation, no obligation scoping conversation with me, you may be able to log in into the calendar, which is in my profile. You can take a look at my profile, LinkedIn profile. There is a link that you can schedule your calendar with me. And this scoping conversation usually happens on Tuesdays. All right. So Tuesdays starts at 9:30 and ends at 5:30, depends on the kind of conversation that I would have with my potential clients. So what will happen during this scoping conversation is that it gives us time an opportunity to allow us to get to know each other and see whether I could help you with your situation. So that's what it is. Now, there were quite a number of questions that came in through my DM over the past few days. Looks like some of the questions are quite similar. So I'm going to address a few of these questions. Now let me just take a look. All right, so these are all questions that came in through DM, through my WhatsApp, and some of them have been sent through my Facebook page. It's called the Career Conversations. You are most welcome to log in through that channel as well. Yeah. Now, shall we get started with the first question? By the way, I just would like to welcome Goji Nashio. Hi, Goji Nashio. Welcome to my weekly live session. I do this every weekend. I do this every weekday on a Monday. All right. So thanks again for dropping by. All right. Now let's move on to the first question. I received two questions based on this theme. It is about charting career path at the new workplace, but I would like to highlight out of these two questions, I would like to highlight one that came in from a young gentleman, okay, by the name of Mr. D. All right, so Mr. D, from Mr. D, Mr. D is a young gentleman. He has just started working with his new company about a week ago. He has not been to the office just as yet because this is COVID, or rather the pandemic season. So he has yet to go into the office to meet with his other colleagues and all that. During that 1 week, he has just started the onboarding process, so very excited and all that. So here's the thing. So here are a few things that he stated to me. He has just started right on, and his probation is 6 months probation, right? And what he is asking is how can he look at charting his career path at the new workplace? Mm. So I get this kind of question quite a bit from those who are quite new in the job market, right? So those of you who are just coming out from university, or just started on a new job, so kind of new in the new environment, not quite sure how things will work out, right? So what are the things that I've discussed with Mr. D, and this was over a few days ago. These are a couple of things that I've discussed with him. Number one, I think the most important part is to try to take a look at the kind of expectation that his manager has with him. All right, so it might be a 30-day or a 60-day or a 90-day success stories. We need to map out all those little goals within the 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So that's the first part. And of course, with the 6 month probation, I think it's very important for him to have a weekly check in with his manager for alignment. Because, number one, once we just get started working in a new environment, things will just get lost, right? Because there's just so many things for you to absorb. Yeah. There's so many colleagues to get to know. There are new skills that you need to kind of adapt, and the working style at this new place, especially so for those of you who have just started working. A lot of things feel a lot too much, left, right, center, and all that, so things might just get lost. So the very important thing that you may want to do is to take a look at what are the expectations, both from your from your manager as well as yourself. So you need to give yourself some planning as well. You need to allow yourself to create that goals over the 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. Why 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days? Because we as human beings, we need a point of reference whenever we plan for something like this. So these are all milestones, little milestones. So, for example, if you take a look at your 30 days, right? So 30 days success story, you need to sit down and do an alignment. Alignment, not just cars that needs alignment. Okay, so you need to sit down with your manager to see the kind of things that you're expected to hit in these little milestones with your manager. So your manager may have laid out a few things that you need to learn or need to do some of these activities. For example, you need to get to do a list of output, get to know the organization structure, get to know the kind of deliverables that you need to deliver within the 30 days and 60 days and 90 days. And of course, what you personally need to do as well is to kind of decide what kind of success, what is your definition of success when you get into this role. So for example, first 30 days, I want to learn the organization chart. All right, good. And your next 60 days, I want to learn how to navigate the environment so that I can get my work done. So that means, leveraging on your relationship, your network within the organization. You create allies, for example. You need sponsors. Those people who are going to be on your side whenever you need some help. So all of these little things, which I have shared with Mr. D, and I was trying to assess whether he is open to this kind of charting his career path within the organization. And he said that, honey, this sounds exciting. You make it, you make it doable. That is simply because, what we did was within that 1 week, what we did was we actually looked at his JD that was given to him. He said that it was just too many things in his JD. But what we did was we broke it down into little pieces, and we narrate in a slightly different way so that it doesn't sound too much. And he said, wow, it just sounded doable. Okay, so there you go. That was from Mr. D, who was trying to figure out how to chart his career path at the new workplace. All right, so that's question number one. I also want to go to the second question. This came in from a lady whose background is in the legal background, and Miss D. So let me call her as Miss D. All right. So Miss D is trying to figure out how to getting help after many rejections in interview session. So this is very interesting as well. Miss D is in the legal background, and she left her previous job, right? So she left her previous job for some reason. Now, she has been going to interview sessions quite a bit. How many? Quite a bit? Quite a bit. Close to 80 interview sessions. I was like, wow, that is something, right? So I wanted to figure out, I wanted to help her to figure out as well what happened between the call to interview and then when she sits for the interview, and what happened right after the interview session. I wanted to kind of do a quick checkpoint audit. This is what I call checkpoint audit, where every single process of the job application is where we need to discuss and see what works out quite well, what doesn't. Right. So sounds like from the from the conversation I had with her is that at the checkpoint where she sits down for her interview is not where she's working out quite well. All right. So obviously her CV has attracted the invitation to go for interview. So that's great. So it's done quite right. And she managed to get the interview, which is great. Now, what we want to know is what happened in the interview session. Why was she rejected? So there are a few things. Now, the problem here is that I wasn't there to be the fly on the wall to hear how she conducted her interviews, right? So how she behaved, how she answered question, how she asked questions. Never mind that I've prepped her a couple of times before that, right? Because I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Now, one of the things that caught my attention was the fact that she was giving out quite a very interesting perspective for every single interview that she went. Right, for example, oh honey, I don't think the office fits for people to work in. The furniture is so old, the paint is peeling. Toilet, I don't really like it. It's kind of dark. So there's always an answer to every single thing, or rather, there's always a problem for every single place that she goes to. People are too old, too many certain races, things like that. And one thing that I quickly asked her, so what makes you self-sabotage yourself like this? What is it really that you're looking for? And that caught her. So towards the end of our session, we both realized that she didn't want to actually work. She just didn't want to work. I don't know why at that point of time, but then she was looking for a break, really. So she wasn't really ready to start working again. And so we have agreed to come back together in 3 months' time so that she can sort, herself emotionally and mentally. So this is the kind of typical questions or rather discussion that we would have for a candidate who have gone through so many interview sessions. So we'll do a quick checkpoint audit to see what needs to be worked on. And usually we will discover a few interesting stuff in the discussion, and most likely it is self-sabotage. But each candidate or the each client is unique, and sometimes after being prepared so many times as well, but they're not ready because there are other elements that is hampering them from being successful in interview sessions. So sometimes we do have to create what you call that, role plays, to prepare them when they want to sit in interviews like this. Okay, so that is the second question. Now, what's next? Right. All right, so the next question is kind of interesting. As you know, for the past couple of years, there were quite a number of companies who have downsized their organization, and sometimes it starts from the CEO. Unfortunately, yes, CEOs do get transited out as well, and most likely they're the first one to go, the C-suite. All right, so there have been quite a few of C-suite or C-level that I've worked with over the past couple of years, especially, and not because this is a choice that they make, but because they have been considered out. Right. So the question usually they come to me is, all right, so I was a CEO yesterday, I'm no longer a CEO this week. I've been considered out. So from being a CEO to what else would I be doing? Now, this is specifically those of you who are in senior leadership and C-suite who are in transition um, due to a lot of things, right? Downsizing, politics, and all that. Now, it is not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. A role, a name of a role is only it, name of a role, right? So if you remove CEO, it can be something else, but you are still you. So a lot of times I discovered that there's always the client who thinks that what would people think of me? I have done something wrong. People will look down upon me, and all that. And I think this is where the TLC needs to come in. And as a career coach, this is part of the role that we play. It's not just talking about getting a job done or getting the list of market mapping done. It is not. So some parts of the process involve a lot of TLCs, and a lot of TLCs, I tell you, needs to go in, especially in transition positions like this. And because we're talking about emotion, we're talking about mental wellness, it's not just that person who's been transited out, but it's to the whole entire family. Imagine today you're earning, I don't know, 60,000 ringgit a month, 120,000 ringgit a month, and realizing that next month you're no longer, not only that you don't have a job, you don't have a pay that comes in, right? But friends might be asking questions. You go back to your hometown and family members will be asking all kinds of questions. What do I tell them? So all of this needs to be considered. A lot of times I would sit down with these clients and figure out scripts up to that point. Yeah, so what sort of script that we can create around conversations, common conversations? For example, friends might be asking, hey, so what happened? So the what happened may come in variances of questions. So what happened? We sit down and create scripts to address those, especially in cases where there are real cases, there are court and things like that. There might be some challenges with the legal and all that. So you do not want to reveal a lot of things because you can't, right? So scripting is very, very important. And again, like I said, it's not the end of the world. It is not really. Yeah. A few things that we may be able to look at is looking at past success stories, creating success stories. The narrative is very, very important. And start to look at network. Your network is your network. This is a time when you need want to leverage on your network. You don't get to be at that level for nothing. It must be something that we brought into the table to have you being there for the past, whatever time, 1 year, 3 years, 10 years, whatever. So your network is your network. You need to map out all those networks in order for you to move on to look for your goals. So what is it in the career goals that you want to have within the next 3 months or 6 months? What timeline? What kind of timeline that you're giving yourself? Right. So this is some of the crucial elements, and do not discount the fact that family, as in spouse, needs to come into picture as well. Sometimes, a career decision is not just your own decision. It also involves your spouse or your other half. I used to work with a client before this. He was being downsized, and for some reason, he had no clue on how to tell the spouse that he has no job anymore. So what he did was every morning he'd get up, put on his work clothes, his briefcase, and leave just like any other day. And he did that for a good 3 months. He didn't even tell his mom, simply because he didn't want his mom to worry. He didn't want his spouse to worry about money and the kids and all that. But he said, when we sat down together, he said to me, honey, I can't do this anymore. I do not know how much more I can hide all these things from my spouse and my mom. So that was the breaking point. We do not want to have that breaking point, and then your spouse or your family said to you, you should have told me before. It's just like a double whammy. So those of you who are in this kind of position, it is okay. It's tough. Yes, I understand that. It's uncomfortable. However, honesty will liberate you. Honesty will liberate you. Remember, I keep on saying this again and again in my past sessions to many of my clients. So almost everyone who knows me will say this. It's not about what you say, but it's about how you say it. So we need to kind of position the narrative to address some discomfort when we talk about, so today I'm the CEO and tomorrow I'm not, right? So it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it, and it is not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. All right. Now that I've addressed that particular concern or question, I just want to take a look at one big question that came in to me. And it's not just last week, but from a couple of weeks ago. I've been wanting to address this a few times, but I didn't see the right time to do this. So therefore, I'm going to address it today in my session. So the one big question about working with a career coach. Now, there are career coach, there are career coach, and there are career coach. There's so many of them. There's some are really, really good, and they became my mentors, and I really highly look up to them. There's so many of them out there, and it's simply because they do their job. They take responsibilities over the kind of impact they create with their clients. They're really, really brilliant. Yeah. And some of these career coaches work with young individuals, which I used to do when I first started, career coaching my clients. I used to work with young minds. I still do, but not as much. And I really appreciate working with young minds, young onboarding, for example, because they have fresh perspectives, they're energetic, great vibes, eager to learn, and they ask all kinds of questions. Not much baggages, I would say. These are really, really fantastic. However, as time moves on, I also realize there are some other segments that may require support and help in their career journey. And I figured that, all right, so it gives me much fulfillment to work in other segment, which I am doing right now with senior leadership as well as the C-suite at the same time, right? So how is working with a career coach works? First and foremost, some of the questions I would ask is, why do you think you need a career coach? What have you done before you decided to get a career coach? So this is one of the key questions I usually ask. Some of the responses I received were something like, yeah, okay, so, I've been transited out, or I've been working in an organization, but I didn't feel the fulfillment. I'm not happy. I need to address what do you call that, office politics. I just don't know what to do. I've been asking around, but people are saying, oh, just suck it up, and you just have to wing it and all that. Well, actually, it doesn't really work that way, because we spend like 3/4 of our lives working. We must be able to feel comfortable, safe, grow within a role, within an organization. So what would you do if you're just being cornered, right? And sometimes it just feels it's so lonely doing whatever that you're doing. It feels pretty lonely, right? So working with a career coach, I know for a fact that there's so many types of career coach, different approaches, different philosophy, right? And one of these questions is that. Now there are questions that you may want to ask your career coach. Okay, so I've gotten here a few questions that you may want to ask your potential career coach, or you can ask me. Yeah. So first question: who are your clients, or who have been your clients? Right. So you want to know who have they been working with, the kind of segment, have they been working with certain profile of clients, the young ones, the middle management, the top end. What is it? What kind of profile of their past clients before? That is very, very important, so that you can gauge whether you're getting the right coach. Yeah, because all of this segment of profile of clients are slightly different in terms of the approach and the experience, both for the client as well as the career coach themselves. Number two, uh, apart from asking their previous or current client's profile, you may also ask the philosophy behind the approach of their coaching. Yeah, I think this is very, very important, because some career coaches are just focusing on say resume is important. So personally, I feel that CV is just one of the gazillion other tools that you need to have in your toolkit. Right, so we will create this little toolkit that has all kinds of stuff inside there. So it might be a CV, your script, your pitch, your network, market mapping, and a few other things, right? So what is the philosophy of my approach? Basically, I am looking at a holistic way. So it's not just about getting your CV done or your LinkedIn done, your mapping, your market mapping done. It's just one of the many moving parts of the approach that I think we should address. Sometimes it's not just about the job, because getting another job is a job by itself. It really is. It can be so tiring mentally and physically, especially for those of you who do not really prefer to connect, to create new network, because it's another job, right? And it is taking so much of effort and energy to do this. I get that. I understand that. However, the philosophy behind the kind of approach that I have is that we need to work towards all these mini milestones within, say, 3 months time. So all you need to do is just to focus for the next 3 months and get it done. And you get the support from not only from me as your pom pom girl, from your pom pom girl, right, giving you the motivation and trying to support you in many ways possible, but you will discover some elements that you don't see yourself as well. There are other things that we can't see on our own because we have this blinkers just here, we see here. There are other aspects outside of these blinkers that we can't see, and we need others to provide us that perspective. And I think this is where self-realization comes in. So one of the other questions that I would pose to a potential client is that how coachable are you? So are you open to new interpretations of yourself, new interpretations of your role, new interpretations of the kind of narrative that you have over this whole scenario that you have right now? Uh, looking at possibilities of working in other segment, other type of roles, looking at a few other elements about your career success, right? So you may ask your potential career coach on the philosophy of their approach. Good question, right? And then third question that you may want to discuss with your potential career coach is, how can you help me define success? Such a big word, isn't it? How can you help me define success? So there are so many narrative about success. Some may offer you tangible and non-tangible outcomes. So that's output and the outcome, right? So there are career coaches who would tell you or share with you the kind of approaches that they can help you to define success in your with your journey with them, in your journey with them, right? And so here's the thing. To my mind, this is also one of the conversations I would have with my client, is that a career coach will be able to help you to look at the various perspective, right? Various perspective to define what success means to you. So it's not a success means to me, because I am the mediator, I am the tool to help you. I am the support to help you to define the kind of success that you're looking for. So success may not just be in terms of salary or package, 30%, 35%, 32%, whatever it is. So it's no longer just about getting a higher salary, but to really to create that clarity to define success that is meaningful for you. For example, I had a client before. She was an account manager with property development, right? So she works quite a bit, 6, 7 days, 8 days. Now it's just exaggerating. She worked quite a bit, up to a point where she didn't really have time to see her only child grow, taking first steps and things like that. And I remember having a coffee with her. This is pre-pandemic, right? So we sat down, had coffee, and then she said, one of the things that I really, really want to do is to tie ribbons on my daughter's hair. I just didn't have that time. And one day I came back, she ran towards me, and then she went back to my maid and asked the ribbons to be tied by my maid, and she cried. So sometimes all these little things will give you that motivation to define that success. So for her, towards the end, eventually, she said, "You know what? I took out my daughter. I took my daughter out for a good mom and daughter outing. I tied ribbons on her hair, and I think that is the first step to my success." So all these little things. So it's no longer just about getting that role or getting a salary increase, but all these other elements of our life that I will try to help you articulate for clarity. What is the meaning of success for you, right? And at the end of the day, we do want to have healthier mind. And everything else, we want to feel fulfilled in every single bit that we live. So it's no longer just being happy at work, working with good colleagues, getting a good boss, good increment, and things like that. So a career coach will be able to help you to try to clarify what is the meaning of success for you, and giving you that timeline as well, meaningful timeline. So it must be doable. At the same time, we cannot have too much stretched in terms of the goal, because if it's not doable, then you feel like a failure. It must be stretched enough for you to achieve it. And of course, we also must realize that there are um, pitfalls, the emotional valleys, the dips and the rise and all that. We need to have a conversation around it. And then I think being working with a career coach would be successful for you. So is working with career coach for everyone? It depends. So you're most welcome to drop me a note and see whether we can work on your career journey. Remember, scoping conversation is free. Okay, the word is free. It's 30 minutes, about 30 minutes or 45 minutes. It depends on the time, whether we have enough time. Get ready your list of questions, and I hope to see you. All right then, so today not much of other questions that comes in. I think I've addressed quite a bit. So those of you who are who finds this weekly session useful, do log in again next week on Monday. Next Monday, I'll be on LinkedIn Live again. I am now streaming to my YouTube as well as Facebook every Monday. So yeah, I've upgraded my my StreamYard. Thanks to Cheryl Witha, who has helped me with that, right? And I'll see you next Monday, same time at 12 o'clock. Those of you who wants to send me a list of questions for me to answer, feel free to write me a note. I'll be very happy to read them out for you and see whether we can, try to address not only your concern or questions, but you won't know that you are actually helping out others as well. So with that, I hope that you will enjoy your week ahead. Be productive, be happy, feel fulfilled, and good to go to tackle all the the challenges that you will, I'm sure you will face during this coming week. So there you go. We are still in a Chinese New Year mode. You can see my background there. And see you guys soon. Good to go. Bye.